بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك سوط عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم. بر محمد و أهل بيت محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب النور العظيم ورب الكرسي الرفيع والبحر المسجور ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والزبور ورب الظل والحرور ومنزل القرآن العظيم ورب الملائكة المقربين والأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم إني أسألك بوجهك الكريم وبنور وجهك المنير وملكك القديم يا حي يا قيوم أسألك باسمك الذي أشرقت به السماوات والأرضون وباسمك الذي يصلح به الأولون والآخرون يا حيان قبل كل حي ويا حيان بعد كل حيج، ويا حيان حين لا حيج، يا محيي الموتى ومميت الأحياء، يا حي لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم بلغ مولانا الإمام الهادي المهدي القائم بأمرك صلوات الله عليه وعلى آبائه الطاهرين عن جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها، سهلها وجبلها وبرها وبحرها، وعني وعن والدي من الصلوات زنة عرش الله ومداد كلماته وما أحصاه علمه وأحاط به كتابه. اللهم إني أجدد له في صبيحة يوم هذا وما عشت من أيام عهدا وعقدا وبيعة له في عنقي لا أحول عنها ولا أزول أبدا. اللهم اجعلني من أنصاره وعوانه والذابين عنه والمسارعين إليه في قضاء حوائجه والممتثلين لأوامره والمحامين عنه والسابقين إلى إرادته والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم إن حال بيني وبينه الموت الذي جعلته على عبادك حتما مقضيا، فأخرجني من قبري مؤتزرا كفني شاهرا سيفي مجردا قناة ملبيا دعوة الداعي في الحاضر والبادي. اللهم أرنا الطلعة الرشيدة والغرة الحميدة وكحل ناظري بنظرة مني إليه وعجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه وأوسع منهجه واسلك بي محجته وانفذ أمره واشدد أذره واعمر اللهم به بلادك واحي به عبادك، فإنك قلت وقولك الحق ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس، فأظهر اللهم لنا وليك وابن بنت نبيك المسمى باسم رسولك حتى لا يظفر بشيء من الباطل إلا مزقه ويحق الحق ويحققه، واجعله اللهم مفزعا لمظلوم عبادك وناصرا لمن لا يجد له ناصرا غيرك، مجددا لما عطل من أحكام كتابك ومشيدا لما ورد من أعلام دينك وسنن نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، واجعله اللهم ممن حصنته من بأس المعتدين. اللهم وسر نبيك محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله برؤيته ومن تبعه على دعوته وارحم استكانتنا بعدا. اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة بحضوره وعجل لنا ظهوره، إنهم يرونه بعيدا ونراه قريبا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان، العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان، العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. अच्छा मेरे गाना दो कलाम है जो
علی محمد عاجل فرج ہمارے محمد رضا بھائی لینڈسکیپ میں خوشنودی محمد وال محمد بلندر صلوات. السلام علیکم. الحمدللہ آپ تمام مومنات کی مولا توفیقات میں اضافہ فرمائے، اور میں انتہائی ممنون و متشکر ہوں کہ مجھے یہ پڑھنے کا شرف حاصل ہو رہا ہے. صلوات بر محمد وال محمد. وفا جس کا پڑھے کلمہ اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. وفا جس کا پڑھے کلمہ اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. جسے سجدے کریں سجدہ اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. وہ پیاسا پیاسنے جس کی کیا سیراب دریا کو، وہ پیاسا پیاسنے جس کی کیا سیراب دریا کو، ہے جس کی پیاس بھی دریا اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. لگا دے جو بغیر تیغ ہی انبار لاشوں کے، لگا دے جو بغیر تیغ ہی انبار لاشوں کے، جو ہے پیکر شجاعت کا اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. جو ہے شبیر کی قوت علی کو ناز ہے جس پر، جو ہے شبیر کی قوت علی کو ناز ہے جس پر، جسے زہرا کہیں بیٹا اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. جو تھا شبیر کا خادم مگر سب صاحبان دل، جو تھا شبیر کا خادم مگر سب صاحبان دل، اسے آقا اسے مولا اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. آخری شعر ہے. علم گاڑے جو پتھر پر اسے کہتے ہیں سب حیدر. علم گاڑے جو پتھر پر اسے کہتے ہیں سب حیدر. اور علم گاڑے جو پانی پر اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. وفا جس کا پڑھے کلمہ اسے عباس کہتے ہیں. صلوات بر محمد و آل محمد.
صلوات. پرتشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین. پرتشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین. نہنگ قلزم میں وغا امیر لشکر حسین. خزنگ ترکش قضا امیر لشکر حسین. جری دلیر با وفا امیر لشکر حسین. وفا بہد معجزہ امیر لشکر حسین. پرتشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین. یہ ذوالفقار ہے تری یہ شہر بے شہ نجف. یہ تیغ تیز و ہاشمی نشان جرأت سلف. ہر ایک کمر کز نظر کفیل تشن کان تف. ہر ایک کمر کز نظر کفیل تشن کان تف. کنارے نہر القمہ تمام فوج کا ہتف. کسی سے پر نہ رک سکا امیر لشکر حسین. پرتشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین. بہادران صف شکن میں اس چری کے تذکرے. دلاوران تیغ و زن میں اس چری کے تذکرے. ہر ایک وفا کی انجمن میں اس چری کے تذکرے. ہر ایک وفا کی انجمن میں اس جری کے تذکرے رسول پاک کے چمن میں اس جری کے تذکرے غرور آل مصطفیٰ امیر لشکر حسین زبر دشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین زبر دشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین حسین کا خی بھی ہے حسین کا غلام بھی حسین کا سپر بھی ہے تبر بھی ہے حسام بھی حسین کی زرا بھی ہے کماں بھی ہے سہام بھی حسین کا زرا بھی ہے کماں بھی ہے سہام بھی حسین حکم دے اگر تو شمر سے کلام بھی اگر نہ وہ کجا کجا امیر لشکر حسین زبر دشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین زبر دشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین یزید بد نہاد سے سکون ذات چھین لے محافظین نہر سے حق حیات چھین لے جو مرضی حسین ہو ابھی فرات چھین لے جو مرضی حسین ہو ابھی فرات چھین لے فرات کیا ہے یہ وہ ہے کہ کائنات چھین لے بڑا بلند حوصلہ امیر لشکر حسین زبر دشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین زبر دشت نینوا امیر لشکر حسین صلوات
برائے خوشنودی فاطمۃ الزہرا بلند تر صلوات. اب تو آ جاؤ شہنشاہ وفا اب تو آ جاؤ شہنشاہ وفا رو رو کہتی تھی سکینہ رن میں رو رو کہتی تھی سکینہ رن میں لٹ گئی ثانی زہرا کی ردا اب تو آ جا او شہنشاہ وفا چھین کر سب کی ردائیں اور جلائے خیمے چھین کر سب کی ردائیں اور جلائے خیمے، ایسے لوٹا ہے مسلمانوں نے، ایسے لوٹا ہے مسلمانوں نے، نہ کیا لے محمد کا حیا، اب تو آ جا او شہنشاہ وفا۔ شمر نے مارے تماچے میں ہے میرے گالوں پہ، شمر نے مارے تماچے ہے میرے گالوں پہ، جھڑکیاں دے کے اٹھایا ہے مجھے، جھڑکیاں دے کے اٹھایا ہے مجھے، بابا کی لاش پہ رونے نہ دیا، اب تو آ جا او شہنشاہ وفا۔ توڑ دی مار کے اکبر کے جگر میں برچھی، توڑ دی مار کے اکبر کے جگر میں برچھی، اور ستمگر نے کہا مولا سے، اور ستمگر نے کہا مولا سے، یہ سنا ہے کہ تو صابر ہے بڑا، اب تو آ جا او شہنشاہ وفا۔ تم کو عباس کی طاقت پہ بھروسہ تھا بہت، تم کو عباس کی طاقت پہ بھروسہ تھا بہت، قید ہونے سے بچائے تم کو، قید ہونے سے بچائے تم کو، آ کے یہ شمر نے زینب سے کہا، اب تو آ جاؤ شہنشاہ وفا، اب تو آ جاؤ شہنشاہ وفا۔ رو رو کہتی تھی سکینہ رن میں، رو رو کہتی تھی سکینہ رن میں، لٹ گئی ثانی زہرا کی ردا، اب تو آ جا او شہنشاہ وفا۔ صلوات بر محمد اللہ۔
يا رب لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. إن الله وإنا إليه راجعون. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا أبا عبد الله الشهيد سيد الشهداء. Without further ado, I'm going to request my brothers from Gulistani Mehdi, the garden of Mehdi alayhi salam, to recite a few words of Marthiya inshallah, and we'll have our Sheikh's program continue right after. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
برائے خوشنودی فاطمۃ الزہرا بلند تر صلوات. نذرانہ عقیدت مولا عباس کی شان. نہ محبت نہ مودت نہ ولا مانگی ہے، نہ محبت نہ مودت نہ ولا مانگی ہے، نہ فضائل نہ فضیلت نہ ثنا مانگی ہے، نہ کبھی نصرت اسلام کی دولت مانگی، نہ یہ تلوار چلانے کی ادا مانگی ہے، نہ یہ جرار نہ کرار نہ خیبر میں علم، نہ یہ آنکھوں کی مصیبت کی شفا مانگی ہے، نہ کبھی نفس ہی مانگا نہ کبھی شب ہجرت جاں، نہ یہ بستر نہ خالق کی رضا مانگی ہے، نہ یہ والشمس کا چہرہ نہ یہ واللیل کی زلف، نہ ید اللہ نہ آواز خدا مانگی ہے، نہ سلیمان کی حکومت نہ وہ قوت مانگی، نہ انگوٹھی نہ یہ دہلیز عطا مانگی ہے، نہ کبھی حضرت داؤد کا لہجہ مانگا نہ کبھی غیب کے پردے کی صدا مانگی ہے۔ تو عمر بھر جس نے نہ مانگا ہو خدا سے کچھ بھی، اس نے عباس کے آنے کی دعا مانگی ہے۔ تو اب مٹا نہیں سکتا کوئی عزاداروں کو، تو اب مٹا نہیں سکتا کوئی عزاداروں کو، پسلیاں تھام کے زہرا نے دعا مانگی ہے۔ صلوات بر محمد و آل محمد۔
برائے خوشنودی امام زمانہ بلند تر صلوات.
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد۔
فاتحہ. مولا عباس کے حال کا مرثیہ آپ کی نظر کرنا چاہوں گا. معذرت کی آواز جو ہے پوری ٹیم کی تھوڑی اس میں، تو بس دعا کیجیے گا کہ ہم سب کو ہمت ملے انشاءاللہ. بسم اللہ. جب ہوئے باز ہوئے عباس قلم دریا پر، جب ہوئے باز ہوئے عباس قلم دریا پر، گر کے ٹھنڈا ہوا حضرت کا علم دریا پر، غرق کے خون ہو گیا وہ بحر کرم دریا پر، غلطہ زخمی ہوا سقائے حرم دریا پر، مشک کو دانتوں میں پکڑے ہوئے یوں لاتا ہے دہنے شیر میں، جس طرح شکارا تا ہے، غش کی آمد ہے جگر سوز آتش سے ہے صبا ہیں جو بے دست ٹھہرتی نہیں پاؤں میں رکھا پیاسے بچوں کے لیے سینے میں دل ہے غم یہی ہے کہ کہیں مشق سے ضائع نہ ہوا تیرے ہم جو کمانوں سے چلے آتے ہیں یا علی کہتے ہیں اور مشق پہ جھک جاتے ہیں کر کے منہ سوئے نجف کہتے تھے وادی دائے تر یا علی لیجئے مجھ بے کس و مضطر کی خبر یا علی لیجئے مجھ بے کس و مضطر کی خبر اے شہ عقدہ کشا بادشاہ جن و بشر چاہتا ہوں میں کہ اس مشق کو پہنچے نظر چاہتا ہوں میں کہ اس مشق کو پہنچے نظر آپ کے بیٹے کا شہدا ہوں مدد لازم ہے آپ کی پوتی کا سقا ہوں مدد لازم ہے حسب سے کہتے تھے عباس یہ بات چشمے یہاں سے لے چل مجھے اے حسب وفادار رشتہ پیاسے ہوئیں گے جو سیراب تو ہوئے گا سوا کہیں ایسا نہ ہو ساری میری محنت ہو خراب ہائے کیا جانیے کیا بچوں کی حالات ہوگی مر گئی پیاسی سکینہ تو قیامت ہوگی جب ہوئے بازوئے
بر محمد و آل محمد بلند تر صلوات
Jazakum Allah al-Jaza. If I can request the thawab of the following Surah Al-Fatiha for all these beautiful volunteers inside and outside on the sister side that work without anything in return but the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Fatiha for them and their marhumin, please. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. One maybe small reminder or a reminder for our sisters, inshallah, we'll have a Q&A Saturday after Majlis. So Saturday after Majlis will be a Q&A sisters gathering with Sheikh, inshallah. With that being said, I'm going to request our Sheikh's presence to the member with one loud salat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Who are not well around the world. We've been requested to remember them, especially Brother Tayyib Hussein is not keeping well. May Allah give him complete and quick recovery. And inshallah, we've been requested to remember him with the ayah of Shifa, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we remember all of the blessed souls of the prophets of Allah, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the ulama, the ashab of the aimma, the fuqaha, the salihin, the shuhada in the way of Islam, and your own marhumin of this community, and those who are the founders of this, and all centers around North America and around the world, inshallah. Rahimallahu man qara'a al-Fatihata ma'a as-salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. نعم المولى ونعم النصير. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ومولانا شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الهداة المهديين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters, my elders, Salamun alaykum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our hearts, our minds, our souls. Bless our tears that are shed in the way of the Ahlul Bayt, in the way of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhim as-salam. And inshallah grant us the ability and the opportunity to be of those true and sincere servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And inshallah, before we continue, or rather before we begin our discussions, can I ask the brothers to move forward with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Please, as far as you can. Please, as far as you can. Inshallah, brothers in the later part of the Majalis can inshallah come in the back, inshallah. Another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, we are now done with the 7th day of Muharram. And it's unbelievable that a week has already passed of the month of Muharram. It went by so quickly. And to be very frank, when the 8th night of Muharram comes, you feel that now, with the dhikr of Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, it's as if now we are on the verge of Ashura. Without Abbas alayhi salam, things are not the same in the camp of Imam al-Hussein. Things are not the same for us as well. Inshallah, today we will remember our master, Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi afdalu salati was salam. And inshallah, remember him and his sacrifice, but also remember to take some lessons from his life, inshallah ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And I appreciate the feedback that I've received from yesterday's Majalis as well. And I must say that the discussion that we had yesterday was not only a discussion that I'm sure has a lot for us to talk about. And I feel we will have an opportunity to talk in detail about that topic, about the Muslim way of thinking and the Muslim way of feeling and the Muslim way of looking and acting on Sunday. So if you're looking for more details, and specifically for clarity on certain matters like when do I start teaching my kids to think like a Muslim? When do I start teaching my kids how to feel like a Muslim? When do I start emphasizing the aspects of how they should look like and act like a Muslim? Inshallah, on Sunday is an opportunity for you to join us for a workshop. I suppose it's either 10 or 11 o'clock start, that we will be having a discussion on the Islamic education system. I highly urge all parents to attend, especially those parents with small young children. And I also highly urge those who are either newly married or about to be married, inshallah. This is a very important discussion because what we would like to see in our children can actually be instilled even before they're born. And this is not just a claim that I'm making from somewhere. It's a claim from the ahadith itself of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Yeah. And just to share a taste of that with you is, where the Imam alayhi salam shares that one of the rights of the child on his father is that he should select a good mother for him. Right? One of the rights of the child on the father is that the father should select a good mother for him. Obviously, the child comes later, the mother comes first. So it's telling us that if you want to work towards a salih, a pure offspring, a virtuous child, you have to look backwards. Work backwards from where the child originates. And not only from those people, but from their families and the upbringing that the parents have gone through. Inshallah, we will leave this discussion for another time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. But I would like to carry forward one very important aspect of yesterday's discussion. And that discussion was about instilling the ability for our children to be Muslim in their thought. And inshallah today, I would like to work this discussion forward at our level as well. Because if we end up being thoughtful Muslims and think like a Muslim needs to think, we will inshallah be successful in instilling this quality into our children as well. So I begin with the blessed words of our Mawla, our Master Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi afdalu salati was salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Where he says, Rahimallahu imra'an tafakkara fa'atabara wa'atabara fa'absara. Beautiful words. If you want to encapsulate all of what you have in terms of the intellectuality that a Muslim needs to have and possess, you look at these words of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is where you see the oceans of knowledge come to you in a drop that is bite-sized. Yeah? Imam alayhi salam says, may Allah have mercy on the person who tafakkara, who uses his tafakkur, his thoughtfulness, his thinking, he intellectuates, he thinks, he reflects. And then as a result, fa'atabara, he comes to points of ibrah. He takes ibrat, as they say in Farsi and Urdu as well. Fa'atabara. I'll come to the discussion on ibrah because this is a very key discussion today, inshallah. May Allah have mercy on the one who does tafakkur, who thinks, who reflects, so that he can take some ibrat, can take admonishment for himself. And when he takes admonishment, wa'atabara, what happens when he takes admonishment? Fa'absara. So he sees with deep insight. It's a very important discussion today, brothers and sisters, because the meaning of ibrat and the meaning of basirat is very central to the idea of intellectuality and aql and aqlaniya in Islam. And this is a quality trait we have to develop within ourselves and our kids. And I will begin also, alongside the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen, with the words of Imam As-Sadiq alayhi afdalu salati was salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Where he says, in introducing and talking about his uncle, Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Yeah? Somebody came and he was talking to Imam As-Sadiq about his uncle, granduncle, Abul Fadl al-Abbas. And here, Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam is introducing Abul Fadl al-Abbas in these words. And he says, Kana ammuna al-Abbas nafidh al-basira sulb al-iman. I will, inshallah, try my best to bring about not only the masa'ib of Abul Fadl, but today we have to focus on the fada'il of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. And one of the greatest fadila and fada'il of Abul Fadl Abbas, in the words of the Ma'soom, Imam al-Sadiq, is that our uncle Abul Fadl Abbas was a person who had nafid al-basira. His basira and his insight was very sharp and penetrating. His insight was such that he could see things that ordinary people could not see. In the same things that you and me see, the same things we see with our two eyes, he had the ability to see beyond what the average person can see. And he was sulb al-iman. He had that strong bedrock of iman and faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, I would like to talk about basira. Yeah? Because this is the quality trait that you want to develop in yourself, because you and I want to be none other than the Abbas for the Imam of the time. Yeah? You and I, can we vision ourselves and aim for ourselves a station that we want to be such a supporter, such a helper of the Imam of our time, just like Abul Fadl Abbas was a supporter of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Can we imagine that for ourselves? Now, sometimes we have a hard time saying that, okay, that person, Fulan alayhi salam, was a ma'soom. Okay, we cannot get to the level of the ma'soom. All right, there is discussion there. I'm not going to agree and I'm not going to disagree. But at the very least, the greatest non-ma'soom that we know, is there anybody greater than Abul Fadl Abbas? I can't think of anybody. And a great non-ma'soom person, apart from the 14 ma'soomin alayhim salam, show me somebody who is at the rank of Abul Fadl Abbas. But the choice is ours. If we want to be like the soldier, like the helper, like the commander in the army of Imam Sahib al-Zaman, we have to aim to be like Abul Fadl Abbas. And to be able to do that, we have to become people of basira. We have to be people of basira. What is basira? Brothers and sisters, I'll simplify this. I don't want to get into the Arabic lexical meaning and all the deeper meanings. Two meanings, basar and basira. Basar in Arabic means the eyes and the ability to sight. Sometimes it's used for the eyes themselves, basar or absar, that's the plural, or just the ability for us to see with our eyes. But basira is the inner capacity of the heart to see realities that these eyes, physical eyes, cannot see. And I turn to the hadith of none other than the Messenger of Mercy, Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is reported to have said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted every human being 4 eyes. How many? 4 eyes. Now, we all know of the 2 eyes that are in our head. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is quoted to have said, "Ma min abdin." There's not a single abd, there's not a single servant, there's not a single person, إِلَّا وَفِي وَجْهِهِ عَيْنَانِ يَبْصُرُ بِهِمَا أَمْرُ الدُّنْيَا. Except for that he has 2 eyes in the head, through which he deciphers and sees and takes care of the umur and the affairs of the dunya, of the low life. وَعَيْنَانِ, and this is where it's important. You know, in sometimes in Desi culture we say somebody who has glasses is called a person with 4 eyes. No, these still count as 2 eyes. Yeah? But they say, Rasulullah is reported to have said that this person has 2 eyes in the head. وَعَيْنَانْ فِي قَلْبِهِ يَبْصُرُ بِهِمَا أَمْرَ الْآخِرَةِ. The 2 eyes that are inside the heart are for those affairs of the hereafter. فَإِذَا أَرَادَ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرًا, if Allah wants goodness for His servant, فَتَحَ عَيْنَيْهِ اللَّتَيْنِ فِي قَلْبِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He wants to give you an opportunity to flourish spiritually, and if you have the capacity for it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps you in opening the doors, or rather opening the eyes of the two abilities, the two eyes that are inside your heart, so that you can see فَأَبْصَرَ بِهِمَا مَا وَعَدَهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. So you can see what is unseen by the eyes of the head, but you can see them by the eyes of the heart. Brothers and sisters, I'll pause here, and I want you to come with me, because I want you to show where these eyes can be opened up, inshallah. All right? Let me give you an example, and inshallah we'll keep coming back. There's a lot of verses of the Quran that invite us to basira. If I get a chance, we'll go through them. There are many ahadith that talk about basira. Inshallah, if we have time, we'll go through this. But I want us to focus on this case study first. You all know what happened after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away from this world. We all know what happened at the door of Sayyidah Fatima salamullahi alaiha. I don't want to go into the details. But there was a person who, when Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was being dragged from his house towards the masjid, there were 3 or 4 people who were there with their hands on their swords, ready for the ishara of Amirul Mu'mineen to act. Yeah? One of them was Salman al-Farisi, al-Muhammadi, alayhi salam. One of them was Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. One of them, I believe, was Ammar, and one of them was Miqdad. But another 5th person alongside them was Zubair bin Awam. Zubair bin Awam. Who is Zubair? Now, Zubair is the cousin of not only Amirul Mu'mineen, but of Rasulullah as well. Yeah? He is the son of the aunt of Imam Ali and Rasulullah. Pupi ke bete the. Yeah? Zubair was not only with his hands on the sword, he actually drew his sword and he was fighting the people who were dragging Amirul Mu'mineen towards the masjid. All tied up with his hands and body, with all the pressure. 30 years later, the same sword that was out in the defense of Imam Ali and Fatima al-Zahra is now being used against Imam Ali himself. 30 years later or so. You're all with me, inshallah. You know what I'm talking about. The first battle that Amirul Mu'mineen had to fight when he became Khalifa, apparently, when he was given the authority, is the Battle of Jamal, the Battle of the Camel. Yeah? Who is against Imam Ali alayhi salam on the other side in the Battle of Jamal? Three main people, right? One of them is the wife of the Holy Prophet, we all know. And 2 other men were Talha and, lo and behold, Zubair. Hold on for a second. Maulana, are you making a mistake here? Something's going wrong. Do you have your person right? Is it the same person you're talking about? Is it Zubair bin Awam? Yes, brother, it is Zubair bin Awam. Is it the same brother who was the cousin brother of Imam Ali and Rasulullah? Yes, brother. He is the same cousin of Imam Ali and Rasulullah. Is he the same one who defended Fatima al-Zahra when the burning door was pushed on her and Imam Ali was dragged out of the home? Yes, brother, he is the same person. Question, what happened? What happened? You know, if we look at it very simply, we'll say, well, Zubair thought maybe it was more prudent to not side with Imam Ali and more prudent to leave Imam Ali and oppose him, and therefore he decided to go away from Imam Ali. Excuse me? More prudent? Wiser to leave Imam Ali? The one that the Holy Prophet has said, Aliyun ma'al haqq wal haqqu ma'ali. Does it make sense to leave the person who is with the haqq and the haqq is with him? No, there has to be a better reason for explaining this. You have to look at the details of history. And I will be very short and quick. If a person has basira and he wants to see what others may not be able to see, he has to look at it not only in terms of material means and not only from the perspective of the dunya, he has to look at it from the perspective of the akhirah. Question number 1. Why did Zubair pull his sword when everybody else had their sword inside the sheath? Question number 1. Zubair started fighting even before Imam Ali gave the orders. Even then. Salman did not. Abu Dhar did not. Miqdad did not. Ammar did not. They were waiting for the orders of the wali. They were waiting for the orders of the imam of the time. So a person who has basira will look at this situation and say that a person who does not follow the wali of Allah precisely can possibly slip later in life. And brothers and sisters, it has happened multiple times, not only in this case. Number 1, you have to be precisely following the orders, commands, and permissions of the imam of the time. Lesson number 1, with basira. Lesson number 2, Zubair was one of the first people to become Muslim, to accept Islam. In the time of the second Khalifa, there was a rule that as the Muslims were conquering lands, they were collecting what was called mal-e-ghanima, right? Malul-ghanima. It was ghanaim. It was all booty that was coming and flowing into Medina. The rule was made, whoever became Muslim first gets most of the share, more than the one who became Muslim second, more than the one who became Muslim third, so this way what happens? The one who became Muslim very late gets the lowest share of the booty. Besides the discussion on whether this is Islamic to begin with or not, and authentically just or not, what happened as a result was Zubair was the 4th person on record to become Muslim. He got such a big share of Mal al-Ghanima. Not only he did not deny it and push it away, he started collecting it, so much so that in his hall, in his drawing room, there was a pile of gold coins. Are you with me, inshallah? Did you know this? Now let me add, slowly and gradually, that pile of gold coins started to make an impact on his purity, on his sincerity, on his ability to side with the truth that was none other than Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Yeah? So much so that when his son, Abdullah ibn Zubair, was born, and he was under the influence of individuals who were not friendly, or rather adversaries of Imam Ali, Abdullah ibn Zubair, slowly drew his father away from his master, Mawla Ali. Now, third point I want to raise. Let's be very careful with the way our children are. Sometimes our children can draw us towards the Ahlul Bayt and towards the Haqq. Sometimes our love and infatuation and support and care for our children can draw us away from the Haqq and from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And this is what happened with Abdullah ibn Zubair and with Zubair. Abdullah ibn Zubair had such a say in the heart of his father, Zubair bin Awam, that he instigated him against his own cousin brother and master Imam Ali. Long story short, when Imam Ali became governor, when he became Khalifa, Talha and Zubair came to Imam Ali and said, now that you're Khalifa, make us governor of Kufa and Basra. Imam Ali said, I do not see in you the qualifications to give you the governorship, so I will not give it to you. Something that, hubbud dunya comes in, right? How dare this person that we supported so much now that he has become ruler. Now this is the thinking that was going on. I'm just verbalizing their thoughts. How dare he not give us a share or a piece of the pie of the khilafah that now he has his hands on, that we supported him all this time. See, again, it's being looked at from a dunyawi perspective. Khilafah is not a dunyawi thing. It's an ukhrawi thing. It's connected to the akhirah. It has to come from Allah. The imam and khalifa has to be chosen by Allah, and by the will of Allah, he has to take people back towards Allah. Lead them back towards Allah. Not that this is something that, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. It's not that. When Imam Ali didn't make them Khalifa or make them governor, they went to Mecca from there. They gathered forces, moved towards Basra, and then Imam Ali had to fight with them at the Battle of Jamal. Inshallah, you're with me. This is just one example from Islamic history, where a person who does not have basira slips. Even they be the ones who are the supporters of the imam of their time. If the dunya enters their heart and the hubbu dunya takes over, they slip away from their imam of the time. They slip. Now, obviously there's a discussion between the historians about what happened eventually to Zubair. Some say that he ran away from the battlefield, he did tawbah, and maybe he was forgiven. Maybe he did not. He was not forgiven. We don't know. Wallahu alam. Right? But it is what we call an ibrah. It's an ibrat for us. It's an admonishment for us. It's a reminder for us that this is not the way we should do things. Brothers and sisters, Amir al-Mu'mineen in one of his other ahadith says, there are so many ibras there, there's so many lessons out there, but very few are the people who take those lessons and apply them. The question for me and you is, if we want to strengthen our basira, our insight, we have to use these lessons to strengthen our basira and become like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, who was nafidh al-basira. I'll present one more case study and inshallah move on and wrap up the discussion. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Another case study is again with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And subhanallah, my Mawla is such a separator of haqq and batil. He is the Faruq al-A'zam. He is the one who separates between haqq and batil. Imam alayhi salam, when he has to challenge Muawiyah, who was the governor of Sham under the previous Khulafa, and Imam Ali alayhi salam writes him a letter saying, you are no longer the authorized governor of Sham, I am appointing another person. And he sends that person to be the governor of Sham. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan returns that governor and says, I am not accepting this change. And he holds on to power in Sham, in the area we call Levant, which is also the 4 countries that are together called Sham: Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Jordan. All of these 4 countries together are the Sham of the time of Rasulullah in the early history of Islam. Yeah. So now Imam Ali had to first contend with the battle of Jamal and the fitna of Jamal. Yeah. When Imam Ali is done with that, he comes to Kufa and he establishes his governorship in Kufa. And this is where he tells the people that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan has not agreed to surrender the governorship of Sham. We have to go fight him because he is doing baghawa against the Imam of the time. And brothers and sisters, this is solid between all of the madhahib of Islam, that anybody who rises up against the orders of the Khalifa of the time is a baghi and you have to fight him. Baghi means a traitor. Yeah? Same thing, had it happened in the time of the previous 3 khulafa, everybody would have sided with the khulafa. Sometimes I wonder why my Mawla is so madloom that when it comes time for doing ihqaq or supporting the right of Imam Ali against his enemies or those who fought him when he was a Khalifa, accepted by everybody even, that there is a difference of opinion. Imam Ali had to go fight Muawiyah in the battle called the Battle of Siffin. Now, are you with me? The Battle of Siffin, there's many stories out of Siffin. I don't want to get into all of them. One side story I'll tell you for your own, reflection and i'tibar and taking ibrat. One of the stories of Siffin is the same person who was on Imam Ali's side fighting alongside Mawla is the same person who is sitting on the chest of his son and beheading him on the plains of Karbala. You won't be surprised. It is the same Shimr ibn Ziljawshan, la'natullahi alayh, who was supporting Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he was on his side of the war, of the battlefield, when Imam Ali was fighting Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan in the Battle of Siffin. And he is the same person who is in the plains of Karbala. He is the one who, as the Ziyarah Nahiyya tells us, وَالشِّمْرُ جَالِسٌ عَلَى صَدْرِهِ. Now you will ask me, and I will ask you this question: what happened? What happened? How come did Shimr, who was on the side of Imam Ali, he should have been on the side of Imam al-Hassan, he should have been on the side of Imam al-Hussein, flip? And flips so badly that he ends up being the qatil of the Imam of the time. What happened here? Take lessons, brothers and sisters. History is full of ibrat for us. And lo and behold, the answer is, again, going back to hubbud dunya, ra'su kulli khatiyah. It's the dunya, it's the worldly desires and the pleasures that make people flip. It makes people go away from the side of the truth, just because truth doesn't have that material benefit that the batil and the falsehood has. I asked one of the youth today, as I was talking to some university students, and I said, MashaAllah, we all work hard and study hard, and we acquire skills. The question is, how much of these skills and knowledge that we have acquired in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being used to serve the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to serve the cause of those who are the enemies and adversaries of the mission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Question for us, just a point of reflection for us. But coming back to the original story that I wanted to touch on, what happened in the Battle of Siffin? Now, this is where I want your attention, because right now in today's world, a lot of this mixing up of the haqq and batil happens because of the media, because of the false information. And sometimes we see a clip and we start to make judgments very quickly. And this is where Shaitan is ready to make us play within ourselves and with our ideas and with our thoughts. We sometimes become so enraged, take sides with so much passion, as if there is no other way for us to look at the haqq except through emotion. What happened? I'll give you the example. Imam Ali alayhi salam had the longest battle, that was the Battle of Siffin. And in the Battle of Siffin, Imam Ali alayhi salam had to fight an enemy that was outright immoral, had no values, not only Islamic values, not even human values. When Muawiyah's army took over the banks of the Furat and the control over the water supply, they cut it off from the forces of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali had to speak to his army in very strong words and to arouse them to fight the army of Muawiyah and take the Furat back into their control. And they did. When they took the control back from them, Some people came and said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, block water for them as well. Don't let water go to Muawiyah's army. Imam Ali said, no. That is immoral what he did. You cannot stop water from going to human beings, even if they're your enemies. This is morality. Even in battle, when you know your enemy will get energized and strengthened, but this is a basic human right, you have to give it to them. This is the human rights of Islam, an example of it. Imam Ali had to fight with Muawiyah for a few months. The Battle of Jamal was shorter. The Battle of Siffin lasted months on end, and to an extent there was a group of people. Now this is where we're connecting to yesterday's discussion on the aql and the intellect. There were some people who felt that only looking Muslim and acting Muslim on the outside is important, and that's what makes them true Muslims. And these people later on opposed Imam Ali alayhi salam. When Malik al-Ashtar, the commander of Imam Ali's army, was told, "Oh Malik, go to the heart of the enemy's camp and take over Muawiyah, take him down." Malik al-Ashtar pierces through, and he is so close to the camp of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan that Muawiyah's chief commander or strategizer, who is none other than Amr ibn al-As, he says there's no other way to stop these people from taking over, defeating us, and sparing Muawiyah except for deceiving them. And just as a reality check, who is Amr ibn al-As? The same person who stood against the Muslims when they migrated from Mecca to Habasha, and when Ja'far al-Tayyar alayhi salam was defending the right of the Muslims to be given a refuge in Ethiopia under King Najashi, the one to oppose them from the side of the mushrikeen and the idol worshippers of Mecca was Amr ibn al-As. Same guy. Same Amr ibn al-As. He tells Najashi, the king of Ethiopia, that these people are traitors. These Muslims have run away. They have left the ways of their ancestors, and you need to return them to us, and we need to punish them. That is where Ja'far ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, al-Tayyar alayhi salam, he recites the verses of Surah Maryam. Kaf ha ya ayn sad dhikru rahmati rabbika abdahu Zakariya. He recites the verses of Wadhkur fil kitabi Maryam idh intabadhat min ahliha makanan sharqiyya. He's reciting the verses of Surah Maryam. Najashi has tears in his eyes and they start flowing. And he says, "Oh Allah, bear witness, this is the haqq. Amanna faktubna ma'ash shahidin." Long story short, the one who is opposing the Muslims at that time on behalf of the mushrikeen is this same Amr ibn al-As, who later on is the chief strategizer of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. This needs basira, brothers and sisters. If I can request all brothers to come forward, inshallah, with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah. Sometimes we're told by some of our brothers that, all the ashab were good. All those who accepted Islam, they were good. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran very clearly says, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The closest, the most noble, the most valued in the eyes of Allah amongst you are the most God-conscious, most pious. Question, were all the ashab at the same level of taqwa? Were all the ashab at the same level of God consciousness? Can you compare somebody like Amr ibn al-As to Amir al-Mu'mineen in their taqwa? No way. No way. Amr ibn al-As came up with a trick. As Malik al-Ashtar from Imam Ali's side was trying to pierce through the army of Muawiyah, Amr ibn al-As told his people, take the Quran and put it on spears and tell, through raising the Quran on spears, that we are going to let the Quran decide between us. who is on the haqq. Yeah? And this is where those people who were only thinking being Muslim is when you look and act Muslim, did not care about feeling like a Muslim or thinking like a Muslim, they fell and they slipped. And they made a separate group, and they were called the Khawarij. These people came, and Imam Ali, the Khalifa of the time, accepted by everybody, is telling people, go fight the one who is fighting against the religion of Allah. These people said, hang on, Ali, 1 minute. On one hand, we have you, and on one hand, we have the Quran on the spears. We will not fight the Quran. We cannot fight the Quran. Imam Ali is saying, this person is going against the religion of Allah, and he is tricking you by using the Quran, and you're getting tricked. This is where basira is required, brothers and sisters. If we think, just like the Khawarij used to think, that praying salat, reciting only the Quran, having namaz-e-shab, and having signs of muhr and sujood on our foreheads is enough to be called a Muslim, we are deceiving ourselves. It's not only in the battlefield of Siffin, it's also in the battlefield of Karbala. Same type of people were on the other side. You had hafidhin, huffaz, memorizers of the Holy Quran on the opposite side. You had people praying Salat al-Layl on the other side, opposed to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. But the battle of Karbala is telling us it's not a battle between Islam, but it's a battle between those who only want to stay stuck to only the apparent form of Islam versus those who not only have the apparent Islam, but the spirit of Islam in them. This is the true battle for the spirit of Islam. Karbala is that. Karbala is telling us, you want Islam, take all of Islam. Not only the body of Islam, but the soul and spirit of Islam needs to be there. And that cannot be anywhere except without the Imam of the time present there. The Imam, the Wali of Allah who has been appointed by Allah, has to be part of the picture, guiding the picture towards Allah, so that it's called true Islam. Otherwise, it's just the body of Islam, no spirit in it. Asfala safilin. Brothers and sisters, lots for us to discuss, but time is running out and I need to wrap up. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The Holy Quran is full of these examples. Inna fi dhalika la'ibratun liman yakhsha. For example, Allah tells us the story of Nabi Musa and Fir'aun. And he says, this is ibrah for those who have God consciousness, those who have God wariness, those who have the fear and awe of Allah in their hearts. But I will just wrap up with these last words. If we want ourselves and our children to be from those who are from the 313 of the Imam of the time, we need to train ourselves to be like Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. And we need to be people of basirah besides people of iman. Iman needs to be bedrock. It needs to be the strongest base that we have in our hearts and our souls. But on top of iman, we need a sound insight that's penetrating. It can see through what others cannot see. The media will throw us here and there. We have to go beyond the media. YouTube clips will show us some part of haqiqah and not the whole picture. Even what happened recently as well. Some brothers were sharing about an event that happened recently and video clips were floating. And people were taking sides. I'm not going to enter that discussion for now. But for us, we need something that everybody has and needs, and that is basira. Let the truth come out and then take sides. Before the truth comes out and you start taking sides, it is like the Khawarij. It is like the Khawarij. Any decision, any judgment that anybody makes needs to be made based on a complete understanding of all aspects of where the truth is first. The other point, not only where the truth is, where the sanctity and the authority lies. Because people knew who Muawiyah was, people knew who Amr ibn al-As was, but they forgot that the authority lies with the Imam of the time. And the Imam decides when is the right time to pierce through the ranks of the enemy and attack and take on Muawiyah directly, or to go along patiently. Just like Imam alayhi salam did in the Battle of Jamal. He did not hurt the leader of the army that had come to fight with him. Are we smarter than the Imam of the time? Are we smarter than our Maraja? Are we? Do we know more of Islam? People come and make blanket statements about Islam and about Husayniyah and what it means to be Husayni without understanding some of the basics of what Islam has to say about authority. And we need to nurture this ability to see the truth with insight into our children as well, inshallah. And this is where I urge my sisters that if we want our boys and our daughters and our girls to be like Abu al-Fadl Abbas and Zainab al-Kubra, our mothers have to become like Banin. Only an Banin can nurture Abbas. And Banin was known for her utmost, utter submission to the Imam of her time. A mother who will not submit to the authority of the Imam of the time and follow what the Imam wants and what the Imam will be pleased with will not be able to nurture Abbasis for the Imam of our time. Will not happen. Brothers and sisters, who is Abu al-Fadl Abbas? It is in the search of the same Banin so that he can have Abbas from her. Imam Ali asked his brother Aqil to go looking for a suitable match for him. And when Aqil alayhi salam comes with the proposal for Lady Fatima Banin al-Kilabiyah, she not only gave Amirul Mu'mineen 1 Abbas, she gave him 4. But she is such a lady that we fail to understand her rank. You know, there are miracles that we have in recorded miracles. Just from within the Iraqi brothers and sisters, you ask them, this the Fatiha of al-Banin is such a central part of their culture. If you have any haja, they say Fatihat al-Banin and it'll solve problems. Just offer a gift of Fatiha to Lady al-Banin and Allah will open doors for you and inshallah ease you. Brothers and sisters, my time is over and I'll make the masaib short. For Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there were 2 days that were heavy. As the historians say, Imam As-Sajjad was asked, Rasulullah, for him the day of Uhud was heavy because he lost Hamza, his uncle. For him the day of Muta was heavy because he lost his brother, his cousin brother Ja'far al-Tayyar. But Imam As-Sajjad says, for us Ahl al-Bayt, besides those 2 days, there is La Yawm Ka Yawm al-Husayn alayhi salam. There is no day unlike the day of Hussein alayhi salam, surrounded by 30,000 men, all claiming to be worshippers of Allah, all claiming to be from the ummah of Rasulullah, but they would think that it will get them closer to Allah to fight with Al-Hussein and to kill him mercilessly. And from amongst these now stood Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas against all of that. And he has such a high station near Allah that the ahadith tell us that all of the shuhada on the day of judgment will look up to the station of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and they would feel envious of the station of Abu al-Fadl. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله ولرسوله ولأمير المؤمنين والحسن والحسين عليهما السلام. On the day of Ashura, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he entrusted Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas with the commandership of the army, he granted him the flag and he made him the flag bearer of his army. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas stood by Imam al-Hussein through all thick and thin. When all of the companions were martyred, Abbas was there by Imam al-Hussein. When all of the sons of Aqil were martyred, Abbas was there next to Imam al-Hussein. When all the sons of Ja'far al-Tayyar were martyred, Abbas was still there by Imam al-Hussein. Slowly Qasim fell, Abbas was there. Anan Muhammad fell, Abbas was there. According to some reports even Ali al-Akbar fell, but Abbas was there. But time came when Abbas had nobody left from the Banu Hashim, and he comes to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and he says, "Oh my master, my heart has become constricted and I cannot bear to live on and go on any further. Give me permission to go fight with these enemies of Allah." Imam al-Hussein looks at Abbas and he tells him, "Oh Abbas, you're the commander of my army." Abbas looks to the right, Abbas looks to the left, and he says, "Oh my master, where is that army? There is no one left, oh my master." Imam al-Hussein looks at Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and he hears the cries of the children. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Imam al-Hussein says, "Oh Abbas, go fetch some water for my thirsty children." Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas meets with the children and takes the water bag from our lady Sakina. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is now coming to ride the horse. Brothers and sisters, this is a very important statement. I have not seen this from a ma'soom being said to a non-ma'soom, but this is one instance that I have seen, that a ma'soom calls another ma'soom, "May I be sacrificed for you." Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam comes to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and he makes him ride on the horse and he says, "Irkab bi nafsi anta ya akhi." Ride, my brother, may I be sacrificed for you. May me, Imam al-Hussein, be sacrificed for you, my brother Abbas. He makes him ride on the horse. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas goes to the Nahar of Furat and he goes towards the banks of the Euphrates. And he goes through a path that he can spearhead through into the path of the enemies. He fills the water bag and he is in a situation where he has access to water. He lifts up the water into his hands, and the moment he feels the coolness of the water, something inside tells him something and he drops it into the river again. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, why didn't you drink the water when it was available for you? I could be reminded of the time that Abu al-Fadl would tell me, "Don't you see my master, the Imam of the time, is still thirsty? How can I quench my thirst when my Imam..." Ajrukum ala Allah. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he fills up the water bag from the river Furat, and he now rides on his horse and he is heading back towards the camps. May Allah bless those who have been to Karbala and they have seen where Imam al-Hussein's grave is. They have seen where Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas's grave is. They know where Bain al-Haramain is, but they've also probably been to the place where Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas's arms fell onto the ground. The historians tell us that the place that the martyrs fell from their horse is the place where they are buried. So Imam al-Hussein's grave is located exactly on the spot that he fell from the horse. Hazrat Abbas's grave is located on the same spot that he fell from the horse. Brothers and sisters, I want you to imagine in your mind how it would have looked like that Abul Fadl Abbas is coming from the river banks, from the Furat. He is coming towards the tents, and he is now coming through a piece of the forest where he has to slice through a shortcut towards the tents. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is waiting for Abul Fadl. All the children are thirsty. They're waiting for Abul Fadl. Here, one of the people from the Bani Darim, he reaches out to his army and he says, وَيْلَكُمْ حُولُوا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ الْفُرَاتِ وَلَا تُمَكِّنُوهُ مِنَ الْمَاءِ. Do not let him get the water. Back to the tents. They start surrounding Abul Fadl Abbas. A person hides behind one of the trees and he starts to strike. And when Abul Fadl Abbas comes near, he strikes and cuts off his right hand. Abul Fadl Abbas, when he loses his right hand, he says, Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini inni uhami abadan an dini. Even if you cut off my right hand, I will not let go in supporting the Imam of my time. Ajrukum ala Allah. Abul Fadl Abbas grabs the flag and the water bag with his left arm. He moves forward from between the trees in the forest near the river banks. He is heading towards the tents. Now, if you can imagine where the right arm fell, Abul Fadl Abbas is trying to dodge the trees. On one hand, he's trying to dodge, but at the same time, his heart and minds are with Sakina. He is wanting to get this water back to the children. He wants to bring a smile onto the face of the Imam of his time. May Allah make us like the Abbas of our Imam. May we be able to bring a smile to the face of the Imam of our time. Abul Fadl Abbas moves forward. Another Shaqi comes and he strikes on his left arm. And there Abul Fadl loses his left arm as well. He grabs the flag and the water bag and squeezes it between his chest and the horse. And he cries out, Ya nafsu la takhsha min al-kuffar wa abshiri bi rahmatil jabbar. These people may have cut off my left hand, but I will continue to be with the path of the Nabi al-Mukhtar. Here Abul Fadl Abbas is trying to balance on the horse. Here is trying to only focus on getting this precious water back to the tents. Abul Fadl Abbas जैसे आगे बढ़ते हैं, अबुल फजल अब्बास के एक ही हदफ है इस वक्त, किसी तरह मशकीज़ा पानी का ख़ैमेगाह तक पहुंच जाए. अबुल फजल अब्बास आगे बढ़ते हैं कि एक शकी एक झाड़ के पीछे से हज़रत अबुल फजल अब्बास के सर पे एक बेलचा का वार लगाता है. अबुल फजल अब्बास एक तरफ से संभल नहीं पाते, दूसरी तरफ से हुरमला का तीर चलता है और मशकीज़े को छेड़ता हुआ निकल जाता है. अबुल फजल अब्बास के हाथ से अलम तो गिरता है, मगर मशकीज़ा ज़मीन पर गिरकर सारा पानी बह जाता है. यहाँ अलम अब्बास के हाथों से गिरा, वहाँ पर गैरत का परचम खड़ा हो गया. अबुल फजल अब्बास ने ज़मीन पर जब आना चाहा तो मुझे नहीं पता किस तरह Ajrukum ala Allah. I don't know how Abul Fadl Abbas came onto the ground. I cannot imagine how he came onto the ground. But one thing was heard at the time when Abul Fadl came onto the ground. A man came out of the tents, and this man had his hand on his back. He's holding his back and he's crying out loud, Al-ana inkasara zahri. Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. جائے خیمے میں یہ مشق و علا مولا دریا پہ ہوئے میرے شان بھی خلا مولا لے جائے خیمے میں ہے وقت میرا آخر جلد آئیے یا سرور تا دیکھ لوں آنکھوں سے تا دیکھ لوں آنکھوں سے حضرت کے قدم مولا لے جائے خیمے میں یہ مشغول مولا اب وقت نہیں آقا دیدار دکھا دیجئے مشتاق زیارت کا ہے آنکھوں میں دم مولا لے جائے خیمے میں دکھلائی نہیں دیتا اب آنکھوں سے خادم کو ہے آنکھ میں پیوستہ ہے آنکھ میں پیوستہ ایک تیرے ستا مولا لے جائے خیمے میں محجوب سکینہ سے قسمت نے کیا مجھ کو پیاسی رہی شہزادی پیاسی رہی شہزادی اور مر گئے ہم مولا لے جائے خیمے میں یہ مشق و علا مولا دریا پہ ہوئے میرے شان بھی خلا مولا ریتی پہ گرا ہوں میں نرغے میں گھرا ہوں میں رک رک کے نکلتا ہے رک رک کے نکلتا ہے اب سینے سے دم مولا لے جائے خیمے میں یہ مشق و علا مولا دریا پہ ہوئے میرے شان بھی خلا مولا یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس دیتی تھی صدا زینب رو کر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس دیتی تھی صدا زینب رو کر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس دیتی تھی کی صدا زینب رو کر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. کیا اسی دن کے لیے مانگی تھی بابا نے دعا، آ کے پردیس میں ہو جاؤ گے تم ہم سے جدا. سوتے ہو چین سے دریا کے کنارے بھیا، کیا سنائی نہیں دیتی تمہیں حل من کی صدا. عباس تنہا ہے کھڑے رن میں سرور عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. گر کے گھوڑے سے صدا باپ کو اکبر نے جو دی، دل برے فاطمہ زہرا کی عجب حالت دی. ہاتھ ملتے تھے کبھی کاٹ کو تکتے تھے کبھی، تھام کر ٹوٹی کمر کہتے تھے فرزند نبی. عباس لاؤں کیسے لاش اکبر عباس، لاؤں کیسے لاش اکبر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. حال شبیر کا اب تو نہیں دیکھا جاتا ہے، کمر خم نہیں آنکھوں سے سجائی دیتا. یہ ضعیفی یہ جوان لال کا صدمہ بھیا، تھام لو پڑھ کے ذرا ہاتھ تمہیں بھائی کا. عباس کھاتے ہیں ٹھوکر پر ٹھوکر عباس، کھاتے ہیں ٹھوکر پر ٹھوکر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. کیا اسی دن کے لیے سات بہن تھی آئی، آ گئی نیند جو دریا کی طرح ہی پائی، پھر پلٹ کر ہمیں صورت بھی نہیں دکھلائی. آ گیا رن سے علم تم نہیں آئے بھائی. پھٹتا ہے میرا صدمے سے جگر عباس، پھٹتا ہے میرا صدمے سے جگر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. اے میرے شیر جوان اے میرے بھائی ہو کہاں، شاخ ہے دل پر تمہاری یہ جدائی ہو کہاں. دیر سے دیتی ہوں میں یا میں دہائی ہو کہاں، لٹتی ہے فاطمہ زہرا کی کمائی ہو کہاں. عباس خنجر ہے حلقے سرور پر عباس، خنجر ہے حلقے سرور پر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. ہے قیامت کا سما لوٹ ہے خیموں میں مچی، کوئی پرسا نہیں حالت ہے عجب چونکی. تازیہ نے کوئی کھاتا ہے تماچے کوئی، آگ دامن میں ہے معصوم سکینہ کے لگی. بھیا اٹھو لو جلد خبر عباس، بھیا اٹھو لو جلد خبر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس اے شیر نیستان حیدر عباس. عظمت و عزت سادات بھلا دی بھائی، آگ خیموں میں لئے انہوں نے لگا دی بھائی. مسند احمد مرسل بھی جلا دی بھائی، تاخ زنجیر بھی عابد کو پہنا دی بھائی. कश में है पड़ा मेरा दिल बर अब्बास, कश में है पड़ा मेरा दिल बर अब्बास, ऐ शेर नयस्ताने है अब्बास, ऐ शेर नयस्ताने है अब्बास, ऐ शेर नयस्ताने है अब्बास।
नौजवां अकबर मन, नौजवां अकबर मन, नौजवां अकबर मन, नौजवां
अकबर मन,
ऐ गुल लैलो अकबर, ऐ गुल लैलो अकबर, ऐ गुल लैलो
अकबर, ऐ गुल लैला अकबर।
अलविदा राहत जा, अलविदा शेर जवां, अलविदा राहत जा,
अलविदा शेर जवां।
ऐ अली जान, अली जान, अली जान, अली जान, ऐ अकबर मन, नौजवां अकबर मन, ऐ अकबर मन,
नौजवां अकबर मन।
हो गई शाम गरीबाली अकबर जागो, माँ चली जाने बे जिंदाली अकबर जागो, बेटा मदर है परेशानी अकबर जागो, जल गए खैमे यहाँ है कयामत का समा,
चल गए खैमे यहाँ है कयामत का समा।
अलविदा जान, अली जान, अली जान,
अली जान,
ऐ अकबर मन, नौजवां
अकबर मन,
ऐ अकबर मन,
नौजवां अकबर मन।
मेरा जी अजहरा में खुश तो कामत पिसरम, मेरा जी دار بلد گیری کنون اهل حرم، تو آشاج منی و غم شده ما در تمرم، ای جوله پر پر من نوجوان اکبر من،
جوله پر پر من نوجوان اکبر من،
الوداع جان علی جان،
علی جان، علی جان،
ای اکبر من نوجوان
اکبر من، ای اکبر من نوجوان اکبر من۔
تیری واللیل سے زلفیں مجھے یاد آتی ہے، تیرا والنجم سے آنکھیں مجھے تڑپاتی ہے، تیرا والنور سے باتیں مجھے رلواتی ہے، ہو گیا وقت عزا ہو میرے لال کہا،
ہو گیا وقت عزا ہو میرے لال کہا،
الوداع جان علی جان،
علی جان، علی جان،
ای اکبر من نوجوان اکبر من، ای اکبر من،
نوجوان اکبر من۔
یوسف کربلا جانی و جانان منی، من پریشان مادر تو پریشان مہی، شاہد غم شده این دل میں رویون منی، ای جوله پر پر من نوجوان اکبر من،
جوله پر پر من نوجوان اکبر من،
الوداع جان علی جان،
علی جان، علی جان،
ای اکبر من نوجوان
اکبر من،
ای اکبر
من نوجوان اکبر من۔
دل کا ارمان تھا اکبر تیرا صحرا دیکھوں، سر پہ عباس سے علمدار کا سایہ دیکھوں، کیسے ارمانوں کو اپنے بکھرتا دیکھوں، تیرے سینے میں سنا کیسے زندہ رحمان،
تیرے سینے میں سنا کیسے زندہ رہے ماں،
الوداع جان علی جان، علی جان، علی جان، ای اکبر من نوجوان
اکبر من،
ای اکبر من،
نوجوان اکبر من۔
الوداع جہاں جہاں، الوداع شیر جوان، الوداع راحت جان، الوداع شیر جوان، اے علی جان، علی جان، علی جان، علی جان، علی۔
عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، 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 عباس تیرا حق ہے جب شام و سحر فاطمہ زہرا تجھے روئے، جب شام و سحر فاطمہ زہرا تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، سب مل کے اے عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے درہ لیے پہرے پہ ستمگار کھڑا ہے، درہ لیے پہرے پہ ستمگار کھڑا ہے، کیسے تیرے لاشے پہ سکینہ تجھے روئے، کیسے تیرے لاشے پہ سکینہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، جس وقت اٹھایا نہ گیا لاشا جواں کا، جس وقت اٹھایا نہ گیا لاشا جواں کا، شے اس گھڑی اکبر سے زیادہ تجھے روئے، شے اس گھڑی اکبر سے زیادہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، اے عباس تیرا حق ہے زینب نے کہا شام غریباں میں ہے غازی، زینب نے کہا شام غریباں میں ہے غازی، بے پردہ مجھے دیکھ کے بابا تجھے روئے، بے پردہ مجھے دیکھ کے بابا تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، اے عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، سجدے کے لیے جب لیا ہاتھوں کا سہارا، سجدے کے لیے جب لیا ہاتھوں کا سہارا، تو سجاد مصلی پہ ہمیشہ تجھے روئے، سجاد مصلی پہ ہمیشہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، اے عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، اے عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، بن ہاتھوں کے کس طرح تو گھوڑے سے گرا تھا، بن ہاتھوں کے کس طرح تو گھوڑے سے گرا تھا، یہ سن کے بہت اہل مدینہ تجھے روئے، یہ سن के बहुत अहले मदीना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है। माशाल्लाह मातियों खुल के मातम, आज कोई पीछे ना रहे। इमाम ज़माना है, उनके चचा का पुरसा देना है। तुझे रोए है अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना, तुझे रोए है अब्बास। मशकीज़ा कहीं जिस्म कहीं हाथ कहीं है, मशकीज़ा कहीं जिस्म कहीं हाथ कहीं है। जा जा के कहाँ फातिमा ज़हरा तुझे रोए, जा जा के कहाँ फातिमा ज़हरा तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना। माशाल्लाह, अब्बास तेरा हक है, हाय अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए, हाय हाय अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए। अरमान सकीना का था जितना तुझे रोती, अरमान सकीना का था जितना तुझे रोती, सजाद तेरी कब्र पे उतना तुझे रोए, सजाद तेरी कब्र पे उतना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए, अये अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए, अये अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए, अये अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए। हाशिम के कमर क्यों ना तेरा चाहने वाला, हाशिम के कमर क्यों ना तेरा चाहने वाला, वह शम्स का पढ़ते हुए सूरा तुझे रोए, वह शम्स का पढ़ते हुए सूरा तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए, है अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तुझे रोए,
या अब्बास, या अब्बास, आ देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा, आ देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा, दिल सीने में जब तक है भूलेगा ना गम तेरा, आ देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा, आ देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा। ज़ैनब की दुआ बनकर एक वक्त वो आएगा, ज़ैनब की दुआ बनकर एक वक्त वो आएगा, हर घर पे सजा होगा अब्बास अलम तेरा, गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा, आ देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा। आ जाती है ज़हरा भी ज़ैनब भी ज़ियारत को, आ जाती آتی ہے زہرا بھی زینب بھی زیارت کو ہو جب 8 محرم کو اٹھتا ہے علم تیرا دیکھ میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا دیکھ میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا تابوت جب اٹھتا ہے شبیر کا غازی تابوت جب اٹھتا ہے شبیر کا غازی تابوت کے آگے بھی چلتا ہے علم تیرا دیکھ میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا دیکھ میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا پرچم کا پھریرا تھا یاد تھی زینب کی پرچم کا پھریرا تھا یاد تھی زینب کی زینب کے کلیجے سے غم کیسے حکم تیرا دیکھ بازار میں زندہ میں دربار میں ہر لمحہ بازار میں زندہ میں دربار میں ہر لمحہ زینب کی تو سانسوں پہ تھا نام رقم تیرا دیکھ میرے جب بہہ گیا سب پانی تب سانس تیری ٹوٹی جب بہہ گیا سب پانی تب آنس ٹوٹی سینے کے اندر یا مشکیزے میں دم تیرا دیکھ میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا دیکھ میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا
Mu'mineen Karam, Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, just as we did yesterday, we will be planning to have Salatul Jama'ah with space for the sisters up in this level. So in the next 10 minutes we have, inshallah, please, those who need to, please refresh their wudu. At the time of adhan, the access to the stairwell will be closed so that the sisters can come upstairs. Thank you for your cooperation.